Today's event is an art exhibit of sorts that we're doing to highlight 30 years of activism in the Puerto Rican community and also in Puerto Rico. Every year we commemorate the anniversary of the capture of the Puerto Rican political prisoners, which happened on April 4th, 1980. This year being that it's the 30th year of their capture and also the 30th year of incarceration for Carlos Alberto Torres, we wanted to have a different event of sorts to sort of like bring attention not only to the incarceration but also to just the 30 years of resistance that has taken place and the amazing campaign that has struggled for the past 30 years and continues to struggle.
So we decided to make the makeshift cell in order to give an experience to the youngsters and people who wanted to participate what it is to be in prison 24 hours. And after that experience, if we multiply that by 7 days, which is 1 week, and then multiply that by 4, which was 1 month, and multiply that by 12, which is 12 months, and then multiply that again by 20 years and 30 years. And can you imagine somebody living in this kind of conditions all their life for the simple reason of fighting for Puerto Rican independence? Oscar Lopez Rivera went to prison on May 29th, 1981. This year he will have 29 years in prison. Carlos Alberto Torres was incarcerated on April 4th, 1980, just as I was, and he will become 30 years in prison on April 4th. That will make Carlos Alberto Torres the oldest political prisoner in the history of Puerto Rico, and also the oldest political prisoner in the history of Latin America, and followed by Oscar Lopez Rivera.
The 15 volunteers were pretty much a variety of people. Many of them are involved in the community work here on Division Street, but they range from our youngest being 16 years old to our oldest being in his, actually you're our oldest, right Ricardo? And we had one individual that's a deacon at a church, you know, several young college students, 30-something-year-olds, and then obviously we ended the project with a former political prisoner volunteering to be imprisoned. So we really sort of had the gamut. All of them sort of challenged themselves to do different things. We had one person who painted while he was in the cell. Another one of the young women, actually a 17-year-old, challenged herself to be handcuffed the entire time she was in there, and she lasted for 12 hours handcuffed. People like try to go 24 hours without visitation just to see what that type of isolation would feel like. 2 individuals fasted for 24 hours. So it was really an interesting process to an experiment, watching how each individual challenged themselves behind the bars and to see like what sort of like methods of isolation or different challenges can they impose on themselves, and almost like tested their own boundaries. So it was just an interesting process overall.
I think that if we, who have been released from September of '99 by the commutation of sentence for President Clinton, have been out, we have been model citizens, there should be no reason why they should be keeping Carlos Alberto Torres and Oscar Lopez Rivera. I think to discontinue incarceration for Puerto Ricans who fight for Puerto Rican independence is absolutely absurd. You know, dissent is not a crime. You know, the crime that's being committed here is that Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States, and those who fight or proceed to continue for the independence of Puerto Rico are incarcerated. This has been going on since 1898, and some of our greatest Puerto Rican leaders have been incarcerated. And we must therefore continue the struggle to have them released, because it's an illegal incarceration of freedom fighters that have given their life for the independence of Puerto Rico.
So, speaking of Ricardo, obviously, as Louis has said, he was arrested on his birthday 30 years ago. And he volunteered that 30 years later, he would go into a cell in the storefront. It was an idea we had. We tentatively raised it to him. You know, kind of as a joke, half serious, because we weren't sure how he would take it. And the way that Ricardo is, since he's moved back to Chicago, he has pretty much dedicated his time right now into the release of Oscar and Carlos. And without hesitation, he said, of course I would do it. And to me, that speaks a lot, because obviously spending 20 years in prison, most people don't want to recreate that experience. And he readily did, spent 24 hours in that cell. I can say, as a testament to his character, he hasn't been alone the entire time he's been in there. As you probably heard him laughing, he has had visitor after visitor after visitor visiting him, talking to him, keeping him company, and I think that's been wonderful. So, without further ado, because I know he's getting anxious out back there, part of today's event was also to release him symbolically from the prison cell and to come and join us today. So he should be coming out now. So if he can come through, if everyone can please give him a round of applause. And if I can get the birthday cakes to come out. Cakes for him. We bought him a cake, his niece brought him a cake, and then somebody else brought him a cake. So all the cakes are out here for him, and after he speaks, I think we should all sing him happy birthday.
Let me just direct myself in English, because I'm pretty sure some of us, even though we're Puerto Ricans, we do dominate the English a little bit better. And that's the reality of colonialism, which we fight, every day. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for participating and coming to this event. I think it's a very historical moment in Puerto Rican history. My decision to participate in the cell was after a long contemplation, but I think in the long run it served to serve this purpose. I brought me very memories of everyone that I was there with. That was the last moment that we shared in 1980. And as you all looked at the views and you saw everybody 30 years ago, those 30 years I relived in that cell today. And it's the 24 hours that I spent in prison. I remember when we got captured. I remember the eyes and the vision of everybody. I remember the looks, and I remember the last time that the air hit my face. And I said, I only have two options today. Either I'm going to die, I'm going to be in prison for the rest of my life. Those are the options when you struggle for Puerto Rican independence. But it is only a reality that I know that my country and those who have supported me have made a victory, because I would not be here today if it wasn't for each and every one of you that have supported that movement, that has supported that campaign, and that I know you will participate in our ongoing campaign to see Oscar Lopez Rivera come back home and Carlos Alberto Torres. And please enjoy everything, and we're all here to participate and to talk with you, and whatever you are, we're at your need. Thank you very much, y que vamos a ver si traemos a Oscar y a Carlos a la casa. Que viva Puerto Rico libre.